Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you guys for joining the Restaurant Technology Guys. This is Gary Stotko. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, Gary.
Welcome to another edition of our latest webinar series. This one's going to focus on what we saw in 2013. I can't believe, Jay, a year has already gone past. A lot's transpired, so we're going to take a run through that stuff. And then also take a purview of 2014. What's coming? What's going to happen?
Or at least what we think is going to happen. At least what we think is going to happen, what we hope is going to happen.
No doubt, no doubt. Before we jump into that, though, just for myself, real quickly, personally, 2013 reintroduced me to a sport that I love and began training some months back and accomplished this Sunday another dream come true. I was able to participate in an Olympic distance triathlon. I successfully survived, and I am super happy that I made it. Ready for 2014. Jeremy, how about you? I know a lot's transpired with the Julian family.
Yeah, no, and again, we wanted to take a couple seconds to just talk about that. And the other thing that I did want to say is Gary and I are in different spots. So if you guys get a little bit of audio, just post something in the questions, or so we're not in the same room, because Gary is actually out after he finished the triathlon, decided to relax for a couple days out where he did the triathlon. But any of you guys that showed up last week to our webinar know that I adopted earlier this year, and so really what has really transpired for me since March has been all about this adoption. But it's been really, really incredible to watch the world through the eyes of a 5-year-old who just came into this country and get to experience the holidays. You see up on the screen a Thanksgiving picture, or not a Thanksgiving picture, but a Halloween picture of my children, and then getting them to go see Santa Claus and getting to experience Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up pretty soon. Any of you guys that have kids know that it's a pretty special experience doing Christmas with kids, and then to be able to do Christmas with a kid that was an orphan that never really got to celebrate Christmas the same way we do here in the United States is going to be a really cool experience for me. So that's been my highlight, and hate to beat you guys down with it 2 weeks in a row, but at the same time, it's been really what my life's been all about the last little bit.
What a blessing! What a blessing! So jumping back into the topic, mobile in 2013, Jay, consumer technology is coming to the restaurants, and it really is changing the industry. Boy, bring us your thoughts.
Yeah, no, and there's probably not a day that goes by that I don't have conversation with somebody about what are we doing for mobile payment? What are we doing for mobile, tablets and how do we get the same computers that are sitting in our pockets that we use for communication and put those into the hands of our servers, put those into the hands of our guests to allow them to control their own experience? It's happening. The consumer space is going to invade this retail space and this technology space that we're in. As more and more devices come out, it's just going to continue to proliferate into every area of our life. If you look at the Black Friday sales, if you look at everything that's gone on in retail on the consumer side, it's pretty much all about tablets, smartphones, any kind of tablet. It could be a 4-inch tablet, a 5-inch tablet, a 7-inch tablet, an 8-inch tablet, Android, iOS, but in general, that's what everybody's talking about. Very few people are out. So I don't know that we're saying anything that's unique, other than we're typically a lot farther in the restaurant industry behind the consumer electronics curve, and I think that is speeding up because restaurateurs are demanding it.
Absolutely, and their consumer is demanding it. In fact, speaking of the consumer, we're seeing tablets in front of guests.
Yeah, so just a couple of examples that you might have heard about. Stacked Food Well Built came out a couple of years ago. They run iPads at every table. Guests get to control their own experience. It's a kind of a build your own burger, build your own pizza, build your own salad concept. And with that, the guest has total control over their experience from the timing, and they were really ahead of the curve. They were one of the first full-service restaurants in the space, but they continue to expand. On the right there, you see Chili's. Chili's, we talked about it in previous webinars. They're putting out a tablet out into the field or at least they're talking about in 2014, rolling it out to all of their corporate and franchise stores and putting a tablet at every table and letting the guests control at least some portion of their experience, but also play games and be entertained while they're sitting at the property, but order their food, order their drinks, reorder, pay, get in and out of the property. And then most recently, just this past week, maybe last 10 days, actually I think it came out on our last webinar, which was last Tuesday, in Nation's Restaurant News, and on Monday night I got an article about it the evening before, but Applebee's also is putting out a form of a tablet at every one of the tables, and because it's only been a week, we don't know necessarily all of what's happening with that, but we will start to see. And those are two of the largest casual dining brands in Applebee's and Chili's that are going that route. And then if you look lower, and we've talked about it as well, there's a McDonald's that's about 15 minutes from our office here that's in the process of testing a tablet. There's a KFC Taco Bell combo store that's about 10 minutes from our office here in Irvine that also is testing guest-facing kiosks. So the barrier to entry has gotten significantly smaller with the price of the tablets coming down, and so I think that's where some of the adoption is coming from. Previously, somebody like a Taco Bell or a KFC, if they wanted to put in a kiosk, it would cost tens of thousands of dollars because they have to buy these big bulky devices. Well, now with a $400, $300 tablet, the barrier to entry in the consumer electronics space has sped that process up, and I think that's part of what's helping the adoption of these types of devices and this type of technology into the restaurant space.
Yeah, and the only thing that I'd add to that, Jay, is with both Applebee's and with Chili's, the device or the software they decided to go to market with is more of a gaming device than a menu management or experience management device like Stack. So that would be interesting for us to see what comes of the whole gaming portion when applied to the consumer experience at the table and how that modifies that overall experience.
Yeah, very much so. And I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes, especially as proliferation of personal devices, because I wonder, this is just my own personal wonder, is with everybody having a smartphone in their pocket, what's the purpose of having a gaming device that's sitting at the table when I have my kids come sit down, and you guys saw a picture of my kids, and I just hand them my device and say, here, play with this, versus having to potentially pay at a table. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next 12 to 18 months.
You hit something that was top of mind for me too, which is kind of a spin on what you just said, which is you're walking a balance between quality service, quality food, and control of my existence, my environment, my experience in the restaurant. And then the gaming portion, does that extend the length of time, but does it correlate to me ordering more food and that whole yin and yang of balance? So, a lot of iPad buzz in 2013. Custom Business Solutions introduced NorthStar Order Entry, fully integrated iPad solution with 6 different capabilities: POS, kiosk, web, mobile, data. All very exciting for us. We saw Breadcrumb hit the consumer market hard, and they're going after the moms and pops. They've got 2 products under their banner, which would be their free solution, which they allow you to have their software for free along with running your credit cards through them, and then they have their pro version that you actually pay a subscription fee for. You've also got POS Lavu coming around. Square is enhancing their payment capabilities, but going specifically towards payment with a very light touch on capabilities of POS and the like for restaurants. You've got Revel, who's making some headway, another light retail product, and then NCR Silver, a very retail-heavy product. That's the buzz, but we're seeing introductions or announcements that are talking about 2014, and mid-2014 we'll have a better idea of where they're at. Jeremy, iPad POS moved to critical mass.
Yeah, I do think, back to the same statement, I think that there's a lot of people that are in process of testing these types of devices, as you guys saw on the different companies that are out there. In the same vein, we it's yet to be seen who will flush out, and I think there'll be some consolidation in the marketplace. Silver was a product that existed and ended up getting purchased by NCR. I mean, it was a product that NCR didn't build from the ground up, but they went out and kind of bought, and so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I thought this was an interesting bell curve that I had found when reviewing a presentation by a guy named Simon Sinek, and with that, this bell curve, I think we're kind of in that those first two stages, innovators and then kind of the early adopters, and I would put stacked in kind of that innovator mode, and Hard Rock Cafe is another one that was kind of innovating a long time ago. So there's some different people that were out there that were innovating in this space. And so I think we're kind of starting to in 2013, 2014, start to hit that early adopter. So you're still not going to see a very large percentage of the population go out there. But really, as we talk about the critical mass, I think that once you start to see it and it hits that early majority, which who knows when that'll happen, but once it hits that early majority, you're going to start to see tablets be everywhere. I think right now people are using them to augment their existing solution. In Chili's and Applebee's case, they've got an augmentation of their existing point of sale. They have a point of sale investment, and then they're augmenting it. In Stack's case, it was their point of sale, and so you'll start to see, I think, that shift over as it goes.
So about 10% right now, maybe just a hair more of POS purchases in 2013 going into 2014, you'd estimate?
And again, it's hard to tell, but I would say yes. And I don't think that there's been any large chains that have gone there yet. And so with the advent of Chili's and Applebee's kind of going there, similar to maybe 8 years ago when Starbucks did gift cards, they were kind of the de facto that everybody looked to when nobody was taking gift cards, and when Starbucks came out and said, we sold $1 million in gift cards in a day, or whatever their statistic was, that many years ago. I think you'll start to see some other larger players in 2014 adopt it, in which case it'll make it acceptable for everybody to start adopting it. So yeah, it's hard to tell the whole 10% thing, but I would say definitely it is something that we are definitely seeing kind of coming and being more of a player.
Makes for an exciting next step. More players in the hardware game. So to your statement earlier about consumer devices, Apple led the way with the iPad, and a number of the major players with Windows devices jumped in.
Yeah, so because traditional point of sale has been a Windows-based point of sale platform, I think that everybody's trying to catch up to Apple in the game, whether it's the Android market players and/or the Windows players. Because so many of the applications were built on a Windows platform, they aren't portable to iPads. So whether you're talking about your traditional point of sale, the Micros, the Aloha, the PosiTouch, all of these different players that are out there, they don't have an Android client. They don't have an iOS client, or at least at the time, over the last couple of years, they've kind of tried to stretch to catch up, which has given some of these hardware manufacturers, some of these really large hardware manufacturers that either were in the game and didn't necessarily have some target to shoot at, or new players to the game like Microsoft, who came out with their Surface tablet this past 12 months. There's more and more people getting into the game, and week in and week out, I'm getting phone calls from different people saying, hey, can I ship you a device so you guys can play with it? We'll probably do another webinar, and earlier this year we did a webinar on kind of what we're seeing in the hardware game, but maybe next year we'll do something on kind of what the current Windows players are, because those devices end up being portable day one over to whatever the new app is that you're looking at.
Yeah, we'll get a good snapshot of that when we're at NRF in the second week of January.
Yep,
so
no, for sure.
Basically, Jay, the traditional POS continues to be an industry leader, citing the features that are illustrated here.
Yeah, no, and I think that more traditional point-of-sale purchases are still happening. We've finally gotten through, or at least a large percentage of the population. It feels like we're coming out of the recession that hit in 2008, And so people are starting to have to refresh their technology. And so I still think that there's a lot of people, because they need for integration, they need mature feature sets, they need the functionality and stability that these point-of-sale manufacturers like PosiTouch, Aloha, Micros, Digital Dining that have been around for 20, 30 years, they need those features. And so we're still shipping a ton of PosiTouch out the door. We still have quite a few customers that are asking about it. One of our best attended webinars actually was last week when we talked about PosiTouch's feature set and what enhancements they're making that CBS will be releasing in 2014. So evidenced by the fact that people are still interested and still interested in what's happening in the traditional point-of-sale space is based on leveraging that investment and all of the integrations that already exist and all of the different pieces. So there's still people dipping their toe in the water, I think, in this iPad tablet-based point-of-sale, but at the same time, still traditional point-of-sale takes up a very large percentage of the market space and the dollars that are getting spent.
Absolutely. In fact, we bring up PosiTouch, but Micros, Aloha still remain the top three players, still dominating with their traditional products. What we're seeing is evidence that Windows and their tablets trying to catch up will now invade the space of traditional POS, because a tablet running Windows can now run possibly some version of the software or the version of the traditional software in a mobile capability.
Yeah, very much so. And I think there'll be some hybrid type point-of-sale solutions that won't exist today or were cost prohibitive 2 years ago, that will be a tablet that look like some of those tablets up there that you can dock into a docking station and then take it with you out to the floor to go help a guest or take it out to curbside. So I think those types of things, you guys will start to see, those of you out there, you'll start to see guests and restaurateurs asking about those types of solutions.
No, which is a perfect segue for us, because as we look forward to 2014 and take a peek into our crystal ball, as mentioned, tablets will start to invade traditional point of sale. So more mobile.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think that it'll be much of the same as the device manufacturers continue to catch up to Apple and their solutions, and software manufacturers are able to do the dance of having to catch up their software platform to fit the form factors of these Windows 8 devices and or Android devices or iOS devices. You'll start to see a lot more of that out there.
And speak, Jeremy, to consumer expectation, because that really is the majority of the time that's the driver of change.
Very much so. And any of you that haven't been living under a rock in the technology space know that there's this whole thing about the cloud, and everybody wants to talk about the cloud. Everybody truly wants their data, because we've all gotten spoiled to the point that whether you've got an Android device in your pocket, a Windows device in your pocket, or an iOS device in your pocket, you've got what you want in your pocket. And so you have the ability to get to the data that you need. You have the ability to get to your online banking. You don't even have to show up at a bank anymore. You can take a picture of your check and send it through to the bank. You don't have to do any of that stuff. There's been a bunch of buzz about Bitcoins, but all the banks are trying to catch up with this consumer stuff, where I can send Gary money by touching our two cell phones together or by sending him an email. These types of things are going to continue to change the way consumers do business, and so they're continuing to ask for it. The consumers are expecting you to catch up or be ahead of that curve, so that you're coming and educating them on, how am I going to pay for my meal? How am I going to order my food ahead so that my experience can be faster? How am I going to not take, I've got 40 minutes to serve lunch because I've got 10 minutes to the restaurant and 10 minutes back. How do I get in and out of that experience in that 40-minute window by using technology to augment that process? So those are the types of things that I see that are going to happen as we continue to drive into 2014. Definitely.
Hold on, I'm resending you my information so you can send me some money.
Yeah. let me know when that clears, okay, Gary?
Okay, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
Tablet POS will begin to take hold. Speak to Jeremy. We can speak to NorthStar order entry, so we see the greatest opportunity in the major chain arena, and so 2014, we're predicting will show some major change going into lab. We have it right now going on with order entry, and we're expecting hundreds and hundreds of locations by year end. Breadcrumb, NCR Silver, and others will make some gains. Speak to them and their challenge of building a software.
Yeah, no, and again, I think what will end up happening is that you'll see a lot more hybrid point of sale. You might have one or two traditional fixed point of sale terminals, whereas a traditional restaurant might have been 5 point of sale terminals. I think you might have 2, and you'll have 6 tablets, because even at the cost of 6 tablets versus the additional 3 point of sale terminals, it's still less expensive oftentimes to go tablet with the wireless infrastructure and whatnot. So I think you'll start to see a lot more people, as their point of sale refresh comes up, whether it's every 5 years, every 6 years, every 7 years, whatever that point of sale refresh is for each brand, rather than them taking and spending $500,000 to go upgrade their operating system from XP to Windows 7 or Windows 8, they're going to say, you know what, for that $500,000, maybe I can replace my point of sale. Maybe I can evaluate putting in a tablet-based point of sale, and you know what, I don't have to continue to upgrade my Micros, upgrade my PosiTouch. So I think that's going to happen. We're starting to see it now because the looming effects, and I think it might be later in the slide deck, of Microsoft discontinuing support in 2014 for XP. People are looking at it and saying, you know what, for the cost of having to replace that hardware, that existing traditional point-of-sale hardware, maybe I take the leap and see where things are. Yet others are coming in and saying, you know what, I can't afford to get rid of my old interfaces like you talked about on the traditional point-of-sale side. So our prediction is that you'll see a lot more tablets shipped, even if it's on the traditional side and or if it's on, let's rip and replace and put in something new.
Yeah, and then with expecting consolidation and washout, the only theory behind that would be that when there's new product introduced, you start with the pioneers, and after the pioneers, along come the Me Too's, and what we could see in the next handful of months in the coming years is the folks that were pioneers and fast to market can generally get their product to one stage or one level as far as consumer adoption is concerned. And so you might see players consolidate. You might see traditional products go out and make a purchase of some of these new wave, new generation iPad POS systems. And so that's what we mean by consolidation and washout.
Yeah, and I think oftentimes people think, and if you listen to the earlier webinars we talked about iPad point of sale, people think it's easy oftentimes to either get into the restaurant business or get into the technology business. And I think once they build it, my cousin went to computer science school, and so he can write my point of sale for me. Well, you know what? It takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of expertise in order to be able to do that. And so you'll start to see, I think, some of those players that'll look at it and say, well, it's not all it was cracked up to be. So,
yeah, absolutely. So the other thing, Jay, is data. Boy, we have high expectations when it comes to data.
Yeah, very much so. And I think what will happen is you'll end up seeing, no different than our example of me sending Gary an email to transfer money. I think everybody is expecting their data everywhere, whether it's traditional point of sale or it's newer point of sale. The owners are expected to be able to work from home, work in their car, work on the road while they're traveling. Airlines now have Wi-Fi. It's getting thrown into all airplanes. They want to be able to see what's happening with their restaurants day in and day out. And so I think as more and more cloud computing platforms get enabled, and as customers start to feel more comfortable that their data is going to be secure out in those spaces, you'll start to see people getting off of the on-premise type environment and starting to push their data out to places that you can get to it from anywhere.
Yeah, that's a pretty exciting component, because I also believe that cloud computing is going to force in 2014 enterprise solutions that do above store to be more accessible a more accessible product, a more accessible form of data and with consumption on a mobile device.
Very much so.
And then some odds and ends for 2014. Jay, we got Affordable Health Care Act impacts.
Yeah, no, and we kind of just were, as we were sitting, and this webinar was kind of Gary and Jeremy's musings of what we expect to change in 2014. But there's some things on the screen that if you're not familiar with it, obviously the affordable health care is going to impact the restaurant space. The IRS changed some reporting stuff last year, and they gave people a ability to stay it for their for 2014 to January of 2014. But the IRS changed some reporting on forced gratuities versus suggested gratuities. And so if you're not familiar with that, we wrote a blog article on it over the last week or 10 days that you can go look up on PosiTouch. If you're a Aloha Micros or other user and you use forced gratuities, you need to go get with those point-of-sale manufacturers and find out what those changes and how they're going to affect your business. PCI compliance, again, within the last 6 weeks, we've had a PCI webinar, PCI 3.0. There's going to continue to be changes in those environments. Make you aware of that. You heard me talk about the XP thing, so if you're not familiar with XP, end of support April 17th, I think, of 2014, XP will be end of life, which puts you out of a PCI compliant state if you're running XP or some derivative of that, and so you need to have either compensating controls or you need to upgrade those operating systems. And then last prediction, I guess, or odds and ends, is just kind of digital menu boards. We're starting to see a lot more people not invest in the traditional menu boards, whether it's, some of our clients, Cheesecake Factory's got some digital menu board initiatives going. BJ's has got some digital menu boards initiatives that they've had going for a while. But everywhere you go, I think staring at an LED or an LCD screen is going to continue to be what people are going to want to do. Similar to tablets at the tables, I think that these are just some things that we're expecting to affect and change the behaviors as to what's going on in 2014.
No, right. Only to add, with digital menu boards, I just saw an article yesterday in one of the retail trade rags, and a lot of consumer technology comes dripping through to the hospitality industry via retail, and it was about keeping customers engaged while they're waiting in line, and I believe that we'll see a greater adoption with restaurateurs because it gives the consumer, while they're waiting, some level of visual engagement, and it's very, very appealing. So only to add that. What do we see for restaurant technology, guys, coming up in 2014? As we've mentioned in previous webinars, we're hitting the road. We're going to do live webinars coming in January from NRF out in New York. In March, we'll be doing a live shot from MureTech in Las Vegas. And then May, we're going to be doing a live show from Chicago at the National Restaurant Association, a big worldwide trade show. Our goal is to continue to bring relevant information about technology to restaurant operators, along with some commentary to help you make or understand better the decisions that face you going forward. And then something that we're excited to introduce next year is we're going to spend some time each webinar and under different forms and format in our digital plan would be to shine a light on people in our industry that are doing good. We come across time and time again, not only our own customers that we're fortunate enough to work with that have a huge focus on corporate citizenship and the idea of making their local geography or beyond a better place to be, a better place to live, and they're participating. So, Jay, we're excited about that.
Yeah, and our goal is to kind of bring you guys into some of the stuff that we're seeing out there. And we've got a lot of phenomenal customers that do a lot of great things for their local geography and beyond. And so we want to just give an opportunity to put them up on a pedestal and just say thank you. So we're going to try and do that. One of the other things that, as Gary moves on to that, off of that slide, but if you guys are going to NRF, if you guys are going to MiraTech, if you guys are going to the show in Chicago in May, please look us up, give us a call, send us an email. We'd love to meet with you. I'd love to talk to you. Again, we're constantly looking for feedback as to what other types of information we could give our audience that is relevant and going to keep you guys coming back.
Yeah, thank you. And so coming for us more in 2014 with Custom Business Solutions is, some exciting stuff with our web component of NorthStar Order Entry. POS continues to evolve and grow. Kiosk continues to get better and stronger as we work with some huge multi-units across the country in developing that portion. In addition to both guest, mobile, and data, we're super excited about not only the foothold we have in our sector of iPad POS, but our future also. It's bright. NorthStar Recipe Viewer continues to find its way into more multi-unit operations across the country. Some great success with menu management and security for the operators. And then with PosiTouch, we see PosiTouch continue its relevancy in 2013, 2014, and beyond. As we've mentioned previously, traditional POS still continues to dominate, and we continue to see that being our reality going forward.
And like I said earlier, that was one of our most well-attended webinars last week, was just about what PosiTouch is doing. So there was a lot of really exciting things. If you didn't get a chance to catch it live and you're a PosiTouch customer, I would recommend you go to the website and go spend the 20 minutes to see what types of things that we've got going on.
So, Jay, we come to that point. Predictions for 2014.
Yeah, this one. I mean, our goal, and we want you guys to call us on it if as the year goes on. But one of our predictions is that we think more tablets will ship than traditional point of sale in 2014. It's a pretty bold thing to say, especially as we were talking about how relevant traditional point of sale has been. But we think that a lot more tablets are going to end up shipping, at least in general, but also just out of our doors. We think that there'll be a whole lot of people that are going to take tablets and roll them into their spaces.
Absolutely. And then secondly?
Yeah, I mean, this one's not as much of a stretch, but the multiple national restaurant brands, we talked about Chili's and we talked about Applebee's, but I think that there'll be a lot more that you'll start to see in the first quarter of 2014. I think a whole lot of people have been keeping it under wraps and haven't necessarily felt like they were ready to go public, but I think you're going to see a lot more players out there that are going to have tablet-based initiatives that are going to go at the tables, in the waiting areas, in the guest hands, in the server's hands, different types of environments where they're going to put this consumer electronics into the guest hands.
Yep, absolutely. As recently as this past Friday, came out of a very, very good meeting with a national brand that will introduce tablets in 2014. So, and then number 3, Jay.
Yeah, just all digital all the time. I think that digital menu boards, the cloud, everything that we've talked about has been all about having technology in the hands of both the guests and of your operators. I just think it's going to continue to proliferate our space. The time to adoption is getting smaller and smaller and smaller as the time to develop this technology and it hits, the Best Buys of the world and the Walmarts of the world. Those people are out shopping. They look at those things and then bring them to us and say, why can't I just run my point of sale on this? And so whether it's tablets, digital menu boards, different types of devices that are out there, everything will get to a digital footprint where it wasn't before.
No, exactly. So we've gotten to I always forget to bring up about submitting questions down in the bottom right-hand corner, but we're at that stage in the presentation. We're just getting ready to wrap up. I know that the format was less so for questions, but I'm going to keep on moving here, and boy, feel free to either type something in now or reach out to Jeremy and I individually. We'd be happy to get your thoughts, get your feedback, get your questions. we sure appreciate your guys' participation today. Jeremy, I know that you got a better view since I'm remote. If there's any questions that may have popped in, feel free to stop me.
Yeah, no, nothing quite yet. And again, we didn't anticipate a whole lot of questions, but if there's anything that you guys have questions about either our predictions and or stuff that you guys saw us say that you either thought was correct, incorrect, liked it, didn't like it, please post those questions on the the bottom right hand corner, and I'll bring them up. And if not, then we'll just move on and do the rest of our stuff.
Excellent. But so while we're waiting, you know what? We find it a privilege and an honor that you guys participate in these webinars. We continue to hit all-time highs each week, and so we're responsible and accountable to get you guys relevant, compelling information, and we appreciate your participation. We're going to take this opportunity to offer our best wishes for a prosperous 2014. And you guys know how to get a hold of us. And we just are grateful for a great 2013, and we wish you guys a wonderful 2014, a happy, safe, and healthy holiday season. Jeremy, I bid you adieu, and
I think we're good.
We'll see you guys next year. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.